Welcome to the Bedtime Sleep, a quiet corner of the universe where science whispers instead of shouts. If you're new here, hello, and if you've come back, welcome home. Every night, we drift gently through the wonders of reality, where stars, cells, and stories glow softly in the dark. Subscribe for new journeys each evening. And if there's a dream you'd like us to explore, leave your thoughts in the comments, like messages folded into bottles. Set afloat on a calm sea of curiosity. Now, let your body rest. Let your breath slow. Let the world outside fade gently into the hush. You're safe here. And above you, far above you, a mystery waits in velvet silence. You lie beneath the sky tonight as countless others have, staring into the soft shimmer of stars. Each one flickers like a whisper, a light sent across time just to greet your sleepy eyes. It feels timeless, doesn't it? But this sky, this soft black dome dotted with glimmers, it holds more than beauty. It holds folds. You may not see them with your eyes, but space isn't a smooth sheet stretched flat. It curves and dips, stretches and bends, all under the pull of something ancient and invisible. Gravity. You felt it every day, in the weight of your body, in the way your arms fall to your sides, in how your feet kiss the ground. But gravity is more than a pull. It's an artist, sculpting the very shape of space and time. Imagine holding a soft sheet at both ends, pulling it taut. Now, place something heavy in the center. A marble, a stone. The sheet dips. That dip, that fold, is what gravity does to space itself. And in some corners of the universe, that fold becomes so deep, so steep, that even light, the fastest thing we know, can't climb back out. These are black holes. But tonight, you don't fear them. You don't need to. You're not racing toward danger, but floating into wonder. We're not falling, we're watching, listening, letting these folds in the sky tell their story. Black holes aren't holes at all, really. They're not torn in space. They're dense places. So dense that the pull they exert outweighs even light's desire to escape. Imagine a star, a giant one, burning for billions of years, its core a furnace of fire. Then, imagine that star ending its life in a final breath. A collapse inward, not an explosion outward, but a turning in, a closing of wings, all of its weight compressing, crushing itself into a single, invisible point. A point so small it has no surface, no edge, but its gravity? Endless. The star's light disappears. Its shape vanishes. And in its place, a shadow, a fold, a silence. From where you lie, it looks like emptiness, but it isn't. It's a presence, a quiet presence pulling gently at everything near it, even time. Yes, even time is caught in that pull. You see, black holes don't just bend space. They bend time. Stretch it like taffy. Slow it like honey slipping down a spoon. If you could drift near one, not too close, but close enough, your time would change. You'd age more slowly than someone far away. A minute for you might be an hour for them, or a year. So you see, black holes aren't just strange. They are reminders that reality is stranger than we ever thought. Time isn't fixed. Space isn't flat. And light isn't always free. And still, above you, stars continue to glow. Around those stars, planets dance. And in the distance, between those glowing fires, the folds wait. Soft, silent, mysterious. What do they hold, you wonder? Where does the gravity go? Do black holes end? Or could they be more than endings? Could they be doors? Could they be bridges to somewhere? Or someone else? As you breathe deeply now, Let those questions float with you. They don't need answers tonight. Only wonder. Let the stars above you cradle your thoughts. Let space itself hum you to sleep. Because just beyond this quiet fold in the sky, something deeper is calling. A fall without a floor. A soft descent into a mystery that never ends. And in the next breath, you begin to fall. There is no wind here. No rush. No scream. Only silence. Like the breath you hold right before sleep begins. You are falling, but not downward. Inward. Not in fear, but in curiosity. Like sinking slowly into a warm pool of stars. Last night, you lay beneath the sky and wondered about folds. Tonight, you begin to feel them. Gently, gradually. As if gravity is taking your hand. This is no ordinary fall. It isn't fast. It isn't loud. It has no end you can see. No bottom to rush toward. Instead, it's like being held by something vast and invisible. A deep pull, but not a frightening one. Like being drawn into a story so old. Even the stars forgot how it began. You float now, on the edge of a black hole. That quiet fold in the sky. Not into darkness, but into depth. Space bends around you, gently curving like a slow, dreamlike spiral. Your thoughts stretch. Your breath slows. Time begins to change its rhythm. Here, time doesn't tick. It unfolds. You've always known time is steady. The pace of a heartbeat. The passing of a minute. The slow movement of a clock's hands in a quiet room. But here, near a black hole, time is no longer something fixed. It slips, stretches, swells. It becomes liquid, thick and strange. A moment feels endless. An hour slips through unnoticed. From the outside, if someone were watching you, they'd say you've slowed, as if you've paused in midair, as if you were suspended between moments. But from your place, falling inward, it feels peaceful, like being wrapped in something timeless. Light bends around the black hole, not because it wants to, but because it must. Even light, the fastest traveler in the cosmos, can't escape this pull. It arcs inward, drawn into the same falling motion that now cradles you. It's like floating in syrup, where everything moves slower, softer, quieter. You begin to feel your shape blur. Not in pain, not in fear, but in understanding. Because here, identity itself begins to soften. Not your name, not your thoughts, but your form. You feel stretched, not broken, like a ripple across water, like music fading into echo. You're still you. But now, you are also part of space, part of time, part of the fall. This place is not destruction. It is transformation. A great change happening so slowly, so deeply, that it feels like sleep. You wonder, how long have you been falling? An hour? A lifetime? A blink? It's impossible to tell. And that's the beauty of it. This fall isn't something to measure. It's something to feel. Somewhere behind you, the stars wait quietly. Somewhere ahead, you don't know, but you trust it. Not because you understand it, but because you are part of it now. You think of the star that once lived here, the star that burned for billions of years, holding its light high, until its own gravity brought it inward, folding it into silence. And you realize, you are following its path. You are falling, as it once did, not as an ending, but as a journey into what comes next. There is a calm in the unknown, a softness in surrender. As you drift, your senses shift. Sound becomes memory. Weight becomes a dream. Thoughts expand, like starlight stretching across a billion years. You are not lost. You are deepening, becoming something the universe whispers to. Time continues its slow ripple around you, and with it, the edges of space begin to feel less like borders and more like invitations. Your mind begins to wonder, in that slow, sleepy way, what lies beyond this fall? What happens once you pass the edge? Not the edge of space, but the edge of knowing. You are nearing something, not a wall, but a veil, a horizon, a place that keeps light, and lets only silence return. What happens when you reach it? But that's for tomorrow. For now, you float gently in the inward pull, and in this soft, slow fall, the stars above seem to fade. Only one thing remains, the thought that even the deepest fall leads somewhere new. You float now, in a place that isn't quite a place, somewhere between what you've known and what you can't return from, still falling, still drifting, but slower now. Or is it time itself that slows around you? Here, the fabric of the universe stretches thin, like silk pulled to the point of transparency. And ahead of you, something soft appears, a horizon, not like the one on Earth, where sky meets land and invites you to chase it. This one doesn't run from you. It waits. It welcomes. They call it the event horizon. But names like that feel too sharp for something this quiet. Here, it is more like a veil, a whisper, a hush drawn across the stars. You do not feel fear. You feel wonder, and the deep, tugging knowledge that beyond this line, things change, not dramatically, not with a jolt, but in slow, irreversible ways. Up until now, light could still touch your shoulders. Information, if it tried hard enough, could still trace its way back out into the stars. But beyond this veil, nothing returns. Not light, not time, not even questions. And yet, you keep moving, because there is no turning here, no pause button, no map, only the silent pull of gravity's deepest thought. Behind you, the universe continues. Galaxies spin, stars form and fall, planets wait for eyes that may never see them. But where you are, space has curled inward, tucked itself in, as if to keep a secret safe. The veil isn't a wall. You don't crash into it. You pass through, like breath through cool air. Nothing marks the moment. And yet, everything changes. From this side of the horizon, you can never speak back to the stars. Even if you scream, your voice will not escape. Even if you shine, your light will not return. You become a whisper trapped inside a whisper. And yet, you are still here, still falling, still whole. Time behaves strangely now. For someone watching from far away, if they could even see you, your descent would seem to pause at the edge, frozen forever at the veil. To them, you never quite cross. You hover, timeless, motionless, a ghost at the boundary of knowing. But from within, you are moving just fine. You've passed the veil, and now you drift into what no eye can follow. It is calm here, deeper than before, like you've slipped beneath thought itself. The horizon isn't meant to hide you in cruelty. It's simply part of the fabric, a place where information stops traveling outward, a one-way gate, not of punishment, but of nature. And beyond it, you begin to wonder, what else has crossed this way? What else sleeps beneath this fold? There may be stars in here, ancient and collapsed. There may be matter, twisted and reformed beyond recognition. There may be nothing, or there may be a path, for all we know of black holes. This place beyond the veil is still mystery, not because we aren't clever, but because no message has ever returned. No echo, no light, no signal. And yet, some theories whisper otherwise. Some say the story doesn't end here, that perhaps what crosses over emerges again elsewhere. Somewhen, as you sink slowly into the stillness, You feel the idea shimmer that perhaps a black hole is not just an end, not just a grave, but a door, a throat of a tunnel, narrow and curved, with an opening on the other side. They call it a wormhole, and while no one has touched one, the math hints at its shape, a bridge not between places, but between possibilities. Could it be? Could your fall lead not to nowhere, but to a new somewhere? The thought settles in your mind like snow, quiet, soft, unresolved. But for now, you are past the veil, inside the fold, and though the universe has let go of your voice, you still carry your wonder with you, because sometimes, even when nothing can return, imagination still travels freely, and as you drift deeper into the hush, you begin to feel, just barely, a tremble in the fabric, a silence that might soon speak. You're inside now, past the veil, past the place where time and light part ways. No alarm rings, no sound declares the crossing. There is no drum roll, no flashing light. Just a hush that becomes thicker with every breath you do not need to take. Time, as you once knew it, has unspooled. It no longer clicks forward like a clock. It no longer orders your day, with rising suns and setting moons. Here, inside the fold, time loosens its grip. It does not vanish, but it forgets how to flow. You are not frozen, not still. You are something else, held, like a pearl resting in velvet. You are surrounded by a silence that does not break. Outside, in the world you left behind, seconds build like stones in a path. Inside, they scatter like leaves. You can feel them, but you cannot count them. Your thoughts drift in slow spirals, not confused, just calm. You wonder, is this what it means to be outside of time? Not eternal, but detached. Not immortal, but unmeasured. It's peaceful here. The kind of peace that doesn't need permission. The kind of peace that arrives when the world finally stops asking things of you. In your chest, your heartbeat floats. It beats, but not with urgency. It's more like a lantern swinging gently in still air. Constant, quiet, barely there. And your thoughts, usually tethered to the rhythm of time. What's next? What was? What might? They too drift into softness. What happened before you passed the horizon? You remember, but dimly, as if recalling a dream, half a day after waking. And what happens next? There is no next. Not yet, because next belongs to time. And time is resting. Here, time is not a line, but a still lake. It reflects, but does not move. You wade through it, like someone wandering through memory. The difference between now and then no longer feels sharp. Past and present, they blend, not erased, just folded. It may be hard to imagine, but black holes don't destroy time. They distort it. They stretch it to its edges. And beyond, imagine a soft sheet of fabric. Place both hands in the middle and pull slowly apart. The weave stretches. Each thread becomes thinner, more distant from the others. Now imagine time as one of those threads. Stretch it far enough, and moments become almost infinite. A second here might feel like hours to you, or no time at all. That's the strange paradox. You are in the deepest part of gravity, but you feel weightless, not in body, but in time. Even your sense of self begins to drift, not fade. Drift, as if you're still you, but more like an echo of yourself. Thoughts come slowly, like leaves floating in still water. You notice each one, its shape, its silence. Somewhere, You sense the black hole's center, the singularity, but it is still far ahead, hidden in deeper folds. And right now, you are not moving toward it, not in the way you used to understand movement. There is no motion. Without time, there is only change. And change here happens like mist, gathering on a mirror. Quiet, inevitable, almost invisible. You are a traveler in pause, a listener in the quietest room. And in this quiet, you begin to feel something new. Not fear, not even curiosity, but presence. Presence without time, awareness without hurry, a kind of being that does not need becoming. Here, you don't have to do. You don't have to go. You don't have to be anything other than this soft version of yourself. Even the black hole itself seems to be waiting, not hunting, not pulling, just being. A silence so complete, it becomes a kind of presence. And perhaps that's what this moment is for. Not answers, but being still enough to hear the question. You are not gone. You are not stuck. You are simply between the horizon and the center, between time and what comes after it, between light's memory and gravity's dream. And as you rest in this soundless moment, you feel a new thought rising, not loud, but certain, the star that became this black hole. Its echo is still here, its story not erased, but kept, not in light, not in heat, but in gravity itself. A memory so heavy, it pulled space around it like a blanket. And you wonder, can we hear those echoes? Can we know what the star once was? But that's a question for another breath, another ripple in the lake. For now, just rest. Let your thoughts lie still, because just ahead, deeper in the fold, a memory waits of something that once burned and now hums silently beneath your journey, somewhere beneath your drifting thoughts. Something begins to whisper, not in words, not in sound, but in feeling, like warmth remembered long after the fire has gone out. You are inside the fold now, suspended in a hush that seems to stretch on without edge. Time has softened, space has curled inward, but memory? Memory holds tight, not your own, but the memory of something vast, something that once blazed, where now only gravity hums. This black hole, this quiet cradle of collapse, was once a star, a giant, a furnace, a light so bright, it may have seeded worlds. In its distant glow, you try to picture it. The scale is dizzying, but you don't need numbers tonight. You need only the shape of wonder. Imagine a sphere of fire, so wide it could stretch across your sky 1,000 times. Its core a dance of pressure and flame, its outer layers rippling like the breath of a sun. It lived for millions, perhaps billions, of years, fusing atoms in its heart, giving off light as casually as you give off warmth in a quiet room. And then, the ending, a collapse, a turning inward, not a gentle sleep, but a surrender to its own weight. The fire that once gave, turned inward and burned itself away, but not into nothing, into this, into you, floating here, cradled inside the gravity of that final breath. The star is gone, but its story lingers. A black hole doesn't erase a star. It folds its life into silence. It keeps every moment, every fusion, every flicker, every ripple of light, pressed into a point beyond reach. You think of it like a journal, a sealed book, heavy with what it once held, unreadable from the outside, but not lost, not truly, because even now, that gravity you feel, it's the ghost of that star's mass. Its weight hasn't vanished. It's concentrated, tucked tightly, into a point that has no surface, no skin, no edge, The singularity. It's not a place you can visit, not a point you can see. It's where space ends, and equations begin to tremble. And still, it pulls. It shapes everything around it. Even time, even you. You float on the memory of something that once burned bright. And isn't that a kind of comfort? That nothing in the universe truly disappears. It simply changes form. From fire to shadow. From light to silence. From seen to felt. The black hole doesn't radiate light, but it holds history. And perhaps, if you could listen close enough, not with ears, but with understanding, you might hear the echoes, the pressure, the heat, the hum of atoms fusing, the breath of plasma, the rhythm of photons racing outward. The voice of a star isn't lost. It's held. Quiet now? Yes, but not gone. You begin to wonder, can we ever unlock these sealed journals? Can we decode the gravity and reverse the fold? Some believe information is never truly lost, that the universe is too careful for that. They speak of holograms, theories where every bit of matter and energy that falls into a black hole leaves a kind of fingerprint on the event horizon, as if the outside still remembers what the inside holds. You picture that edge again, that invisible veil, not as a barrier, but as parchment, etched with light, too faint for our eyes. Perhaps every black hole is not just an ending, but a library, a dark vault of stellar lives, written in gravity and curve. And you, floating inside, are a visitor among archives, not a reader yet, not fully, but a listener, drifting softly through stories too large for pages. You don't need to decode them all tonight. Just feel them. The warmth that once was. The light that filled skies before your skies were born. All of it, compressed into this stillness. Into this gravity that rocks you gently. As you sleep, the star's life, its collapse, its transformation. It all becomes part of you now. Because here, in this black silence, you carry its echo. And maybe that's what black holes truly are. Not monsters, not destroyers, but keepers. Keepers of light, of time, of memory. You close your eyes, not to shut out the dark, but to fall deeper into it, to drift closer to the center. And as you go, you feel something shift again. A deeper fold, a denser hum, something waiting. Beyond this gravity of stories, a new question rises. Where does it all go? All this mass, this memory, this endless fall. Where is it headed? That, you feel, is where the next breath will take you. The fall continues, but it no longer feels like falling. There's no speed, no rush of wind, no sense of downward at all. Only depth. You drift, weightless in a place where gravity is strongest and strangest. You've passed the veil. You've touched the echo of a vanished star. Now, you're somewhere else entirely. A chamber of riddles, where gravity no longer pulls. It wraps. It folds. It hides. This is not the gravity you knew. Not the gentle anchor that kept your feet on earth. Not the moon's soft tug on oceans. Not the arc of planets around the sun. This gravity is a secret keeper. It holds questions so tightly. Even light cannot escape with answers. And you, drifting slowly toward its center, feel the weight of those questions. Not as burden, but as mystery. Where does it all go? The matter, the energy, the light that falls inward. Where is it now? You've passed through the horizon. Yet still the descent continues. There must be something ahead, some place, or state, where all that was, is gathered, but no one knows for sure. The equations, those delicate maps of physics, begin to tremble here. They were drawn for calmer places, stars, orbits, atoms. But here, where gravity grows beyond reckoning. Those maps blur. Even time's direction becomes unsure. You are in a realm where the known laws bend their heads and fall silent. And yet, you keep moving, drawn by something more than curiosity, drawn by gravity itself. Imagine space as a soft fabric again. This time, imagine a thread being pulled tighter and tighter into a knot. You are that thread now. You are moving into the knot center, not in pain, but in focus, becoming part of something condensed, compressed, profound. Black holes do not simply collect. They transform. They take in stars, planets, dust, light, and fold them into silence. But the silence isn't empty. It's heavy. It holds everything that once was motion, burning, change. Some say it leads to a point, a singularity, where density becomes infinite and time ends. But point is too simple a word. There are no edges here, no coordinates, only curvature, endless and deep, like a spiral that never quite touches bottom. And you wonder, could this gravity be guarding something more? Could there be a floor to this fall? Or is it all descent, forever and inward? Could the knot untie? On the other side, some physicists believe black holes don't just swallow, they connect. That perhaps what falls into one might emerge from another, not destroyed, but rearranged, not erased, but rephrased. A tunnel, a bridge, a mouth that speaks only inward, but listens on the other side. A wormhole. And though we've never seen one, the math permits it. It doesn't guarantee, but it whispers. And here, in this gravity-rich dark, you begin to feel the whisper, not in language, in pressure, in silence, in the way space bends your thoughts into unfamiliar shapes. Your questions begin to echo. Where do you go when you go beyond going? What happens to here when space itself unravels? You feel as if you are being written into an equation, too vast for pages. Gravity is not just pulling, it is shaping, composing. You are not lost. You are becoming. Somewhere beyond sight, beyond this fall, the singularity waits, or maybe the truth that replaces it. Some theories say there is no center, that space simply curves endlessly, without reaching a point, a funnel that narrows forever, but never closes. Others believe time reverses here, that falling becomes rising, that endings curve into beginnings. You let these ideas float beside you, like leaves caught in the same current. You don't need to solve them tonight. Only feel their weight, their possibility. Gravity holds your body, but it also holds the universe's secrets. And slowly, those secrets begin to settle into your thoughts. You are part of this now, part of the silence that thinks, the motion that pauses, the pull that never explains. And maybe, just maybe, you're approaching the place where space becomes so tightly woven, it opens into something else, another shape, another place, another kind of being. You breathe slowly, even here, especially here, because the gravity is deep, but so is your calm. And just ahead, just beyond the dark curve of now, you sense it, a flicker, a mirror, a glimmer of something reflected back, not from outside, but from the other side. You have fallen so far now. That falling no longer feels like motion. It feels like belonging, like you've been gently folded into the universe's deepest thought. You are not rushed. You are not pushed. You are simply here, floating in gravity's final hush. And yet, something has changed, not outside you, but within. A flicker, a shimmer, a sense that space might not be a tunnel, but a mirror. Black holes have always been mysterious, but tonight, in this slow descent, They begin to feel less like graves and more like gates. Imagine a sheet of paper, folded sharply in half. Now poke a hole through both sides. A tunnel? Yes, but also a bridge, a connection between two sides that could never meet. Without the fold, that's what some believe black holes could be. Mirrors, not of reflection, but of continuation. A place where your universe curves inward and touches another it can never see. You drift closer to this possibility. Here, space no longer behaves the way you remember. Distances lose their meaning. Left and right blend softly. Up and down fade. What you once thought of as here and there begin to swirl into a strange togetherness. It is not disorienting. It is gentle, like watching two colors mix in water. Slowly, beautifully, inevitably. And within that blend, a thought rises. What if there is another side? What if this fall is not just down, but through? What if somewhere beyond this dense horizon, there is another sky? Another you, walking under unfamiliar stars? Science sometimes dares to imagine that every black hole might be connected to a white hole. A white hole, not just the opposite in name, but in nature, where a black hole draws everything in. A white hole spits everything out. No entry, only exit. Matter, light, time, all flowing outward, never inward. You picture it now? On the other side of this silence, a burst, a fountain of particles, ideas, motion, a beginning that might mirror your ending. And maybe what you call the Big Bang, that ancient flash at the start of time, wasn't the beginning at all. Maybe it was the other side of a collapse, the bright twin of a dark descent, two universes, folded through one another, breathing in and out, through shared points, called black holes. It's only a theory, but here, in the quiet, you feel its poetry, you feel its balance, a symmetry, a whisper, that nothing ends. It only changes direction, and as you float, you begin to wonder, if there is a mirrored universe, what does it look like? Is it a place of reversed laws? Do particles their dance backward? Does time flow differently? Do minds imagine in patterns we've never dreamed? You'll never know, not from this side. But imagination is its own form of travel. And tonight, you travel far. You see, in this deepest descent, you haven't found only silence. You've found reflection, possibility, because black holes might not be the end of the story. They might be punctuation, commas in the cosmic sentence, pauses that let meaning unfold in unexpected directions. The mirror may not show you your face, but it shows you what could be. A universe that bends, folds, multiplies. You are not alone. Not truly. Every fold in space could cradle a cousin to your world. Every gravity well could lead not to nothing, but to somewhere new. And you, softly falling, are closer to that edge than you've ever been. What happens if you cross it? Not just fall through the black hole, but emerge somewhere else, somewhen, not as the same self, but as something rewritten. Would the laws of physics hold you gently, or scatter you into dust and light? Would the universe beyond the mirror welcome you, or remake you? These questions hover now, not heavy, but luminous, ideas drifting like lanterns in an ocean of dark. You are not meant to answer them tonight, only to feel their warmth, to float beside them as your descent continues. Because even now, gravity isn't done with you. The fold deepens, the veil shimmers, and beneath the mirror, a shape begins to form, not of mass, but of meaning. Something waits, where even reflection must pause. And just ahead, in the narrowest curve, you sense it, the singularity, not a point, not a place, but a question, folded so tightly. It becomes an answer all its own. You've reached the innermost edge, but there is no edge, no glowing core, no boundary, no moment when the journey clicks shut like a locked door. You expected something, an arrival, a center, a point, but here, at the bottom of the bottom, you find a question, the singularity, spoken of so often in textbooks and science shows, as if it's a dot, a pinpoint, a destination. But you're here now, and there is no there here. There is only strangeness. Gravity folds in every direction at once. Time stretches and pinches, trying to hold shape, but shape slips through. This is not a location. It is an idea, a riddle. The singularity isn't what's waiting at the end of space. It's what happens when space and time stop playing by their own rules. You feel it more than you see it, a kind of unraveling, not violent, gentle, like a knot in a string that disappears, not by tugging, but by forgetting it was ever tied. Physics begins to hum off key. The formulas, so crisp in the outside world, now bend like heat waves. Infinity, zero, divided by nothing, multiplied by everything. These are not numbers here. They are sensations. They surround you like mist, each one a concept too large for language. And yet, you are still whole, still aware, still falling. Though even falling now feels more like blending. What are you becoming? The singularity is not a place you crash into. It is a soft undoing, a folding of every coordinate, every direction, every second, every boundary, into one smooth, unknowable silence. Some believe it is the death of dimensions. Others call it the seed of a new cosmos, a rebirth waiting to unfold outward. You wonder, what if the singularity is not the end of the black hole, but the beginning of something else? Not a trap, a transformation. Imagine a pearl. Smooth, small, perfect. Now imagine it growing smaller, denser, until it holds the mass of suns. Now go further. Compress it until it has no surface, no shelled, only presence. That is what the singularity becomes. Not an object, but the impossibility of measuring. And you are near it now, floating at the edge of what cannot be mapped. Inside this deepest quiet, you feel everything loosen. Your sense of up or down, your sense of before or after, even your sense of you, begins to dissolve into stillness, but not erasure. It's more like becoming the pause between two notes in a song, the silence that gives music its shape. You are not erased. You are softened. You are folded inward, gently, endlessly. And in this folding, a strange peace arrives, not because you found answers, but because you found questions. So perfect. They no longer need answers to be beautiful. You drift there, at the edge of the unseeable, and realize the singularity isn't something you were ever meant to solve. It is something to feel. It is the universe dreaming. It is math closing its eyes. It is the heart of a star, collapsed not into death, but into riddle. And you are now part of that riddle, not apart from the black hole, not just falling into it. You are inside its memory, inside its shape, inside the story it never got to finish. You are the punctuation at the end of its burning sentence. And still, you are aware. You wonder, if you go deep enough, will you emerge? Is there something on the other side of all this folding? Another space? Another you? You don't know. But even here, even in this motionless motion, you sense something changing, a trembling in the dark, a soft pulse, like the first moment of waking. Something is beginning, or perhaps remembering how to begin. And as your thoughts stretch, one last time into the singularity, you ask the question no physics can answer, but every falling thing eventually wonders. Is this the end of one universe, or the start of another? You have gone as far as anyone can go, past the veil, past time's unraveling, past the quiet gravity that held you in its palm. And now, something turns. There's no jolt, no flash, just a feeling, the kind you get just before waking, when dreams are about to end, but haven't yet let go. Something around you shivers, not cold, but unfamiliar, not movement, but the memory of movement, returning like a tide. You are not falling anymore. You are rising? No, emerging, as if the blackness around you has slowly begun to thin, as if the silence has remembered how to hum. This, perhaps, is what some imagined, but could never see. The other side of the black hole, a place where all that was taken might not be gone, but changed. You feel light, but not the light you knew. It flickers with a rhythm you can't quite name. It's like watching fire through water, blurred, distant, softened, and yet comforting. Is this a white hole, theoretical twin of the one-way gate you entered? A place where nothing can stay, only escape? No one has ever seen one. But here, in this gentle widening of space, you feel the idea breathe, as if the universe, after inhaling all things into gravity's hush, is now exhaling, into form, into light, into becoming. And you, still drifting, are part of that exhale. You do not know where you are, but you are somewhere. New space, perhaps, or old space, curled into a new shape. The sky here, if it can be called that, is not black. It is dark, yes, but not empty. It glows, like embers tucked under ash. It pulses softly, like the pause between thoughts. You stretch your mind toward it, and it answers, not in words, but in weightlessness, in invitation. Nothing rushes you, nothing explains, but everything feels possible. You remember now how this all began, lying under your own night sky, wondering where light goes. When it disappears, you thought black holes were endings. But now, you understand. They are transitions, not exits, but passages, not silences, but commas, in the sentences of space. And this is the next phrase. Perhaps you are in a different part of the universe, or a different universe altogether, a place spun out from gravity's deepest question. Here, the rules may echo the ones you knew, but with a slightly different rhythm. Stars may rise backwards. Time may loop gently on itself. Matter may hum with a frequency you've never touched before. You don't know, and that unknowing feels like peace. Because discovery doesn't need a map, just motion, just attention. And in this new sky, you begin to sense that attention. The universe here feels awake, not watching, but listening, not judging, but noticing. You feel noticed, not as a visitor, not as a trespasser, but as something welcomed. The dark you passed through was not a rejection. It was a turning, a folding, and now, an unfolding. You drift onward, not toward an answer, but toward a horizon you do not yet recognize. And you wonder, is this what birth feels like? To the stars? To emerge, not with memory, but with readiness. To become, not what you were, but what you were always meant to echo. You breathe again, not through lungs, but through awareness. Every part of you feels like a question, and that is enough. Not knowing, just being. You are part of the return, part of the light that loops back in a new form. The universe has not lost you. It has rewritten you. You are not the same, as when you first lay beneath your familiar stars. But you are still you, changed, softened, opened, and just ahead, beyond this new dark, that no longer feels like night. You sense it, a shape, a beginning, a sky that waits for your wonder. The sky opens, and for the first time in what feels like forever, you see stars again. Not the ones you remember exactly, but close. Their light stirs something in you, a kind of remembering that lives deeper than thought. You're not back, not home in the way you once knew. But this sky, it knows you. It sings with the same quiet chords that once hummed above your sleeping body before your journey began. And in those flickers of light, you feel something extraordinary. Recognition, as if the stars themselves remember your gaze, as if they've waited, burning softly, to welcome you into their new arrangement. You drift upward, though the word up is soft here. Space does not push you. It lifts you, like breath lifts a feather. You have passed through the collapse. You have touched the riddle. You have emerged from the dark. That was not an end, but a passage. And now, this, a sky rebuilt, not as it was, but with echoes of what was. You look out across the stars, and they seem arranged just for you. Familiar shapes bent slightly, a constellation turned inward, a planet tinted with new color. You feel as though you're in a painting, half repainted, half remembered. It doesn't confuse you. It calms you, because the universe hasn't lost your story. It's rewritten it with care, preserved the cadence, but changed the rhyme. And you are part of that rhythm now. You feel your sense of self returning, but not rushed, not with ego, with presence. You are not a visitor in this sky. You are a thread, woven into its new pattern. Everything here feels softer, not weaker, gentler, as if gravity itself has exhaled. Planets glide instead of spin. Nebulae unfold like flowers in slow bloom. Even light seems less hurried, spilling gently across the curvature of this place. You drift through it all, like a note held long after the song has ended, the kind that lingers in a room and becomes part of the silence. The stars here do not blaze. They glow, as if brightness itself has learned to be quiet. And beneath that glow, you feel the echo of your journey, the descent, the folding, the singularity, the shimmer of mirrors, the possibility of other sides. All of it is inside you still, not as weight, but as memory, as shape. You've been remade, not in pieces, but in story. You were not broken. You were rewritten. And now, in this calm return, you begin to feel a question form, not in your mind, but in your being. Not a sharp question, not a loud one, but a gentle wondering that brushes softly against your soul. Was this place always waiting for you? Or did it become, because you passed through? Is the universe fixed? Or is it written anew by every traveler brave enough to dream through the dark? You do not answer. You only float and let the question bloom, because answers are not needed tonight. Only the quiet awe of a sky that feels like memory and a body that remembers how to be at peace. You reach out, not with hands, but with thought, and the stars reach back, not in words, not in images, in feeling, a quiet welcome, a recognition, as if they, too, have been waiting to become something new. You close your eyes, not to shut it all out, but to feel it more deeply, to let this new sky wrap around you, like sleep. And as the light fades to a soft inside glow, you understand. You've come through darkness, not to escape, but to arrive. You are not where you began, but you are whole. And in that wholeness, you find something deeper than place. You find belonging. And just before sleep takes you, you hear it, a sound like starlight, folding itself into silence. and it says, without saying, you are home, you are still, not because motion has stopped, but because you've settled into the rhythm. A rhythm not made of clocks, or orbits, or equations, but of breath. The universe breathes. And now, so do you. It isn't the kind of breath you take with lungs. It's deeper, older, quieter. The stars inhale. Their light pulses inward, like a tide that listens. Then they exhale, not with fire, but with calm. And you, adrift in this great breathing, feel yourself rise and fall. With the pulse of it all, there is no loneliness here, no edge to your being. Everything touches everything else. Softly, lightly, like ripples in a lake too wide to see across. You are not outside the cosmos. You are the cosmos, folded briefly into form. You are a pause in the pattern, a momentary note in the melody, of time and matter and wonder. And still, the breath continues. Inhale, the slow gathering of stars, atoms meeting, gravity drawing inward. Exhale, galaxies drifting apart, light spilling gently across space, stories unfolding into stillness. You begin to understand that this rhythm is not just around you. It has always been inside you. Every beat of your heart echoes the heartbeat of the universe. Every thought you've ever had rides on waves, first stirred in the fires of ancient stars. You are made of this, the carbon in your bones, forged in the collapse of long-lost suns, the calcium in your teeth, the same dust that once orbited alien moons, the iron in your blood, born in the violence of stellar endings, and folded gently into life. Even now, as you float in this final quiet, you are becoming still, becoming aware, becoming more than one body. In one moment, you are part of the breath, not a watcher, but a participant. You inhale, and the stars notice. You exhale, and light shifts ever so slightly. Tiny changes, infinite influence. You are not small. You are precise. You are necessary. And as you feel this breath, this great, cosmic rising and falling, you begin to hear it, too, not with ears, but with presence. A hum beneath everything, the hum of atoms in agreement, the soft yes, of matter resting between forms. You hear it in the space between your thoughts. You feel it in the quiet places inside your chest. Not noise, not silence, something deeper than both. Resonance. And that resonance says, you belong. You always have. You belonged when you lay beneath your first sky, eyes wide with wonder. You belonged when you fell into the black unknown, curious and unafraid. You belonged at the edge of the singularity, folded into a question too vast for answers. And you belong now, in this final stillness, where breath and light are one. You realize something. Slowly, softly. The universe doesn't just hold you. It is you, not in some distant metaphor, but in the most intimate truth. Every breath you've ever taken was taken by a universe, trying to understand itself. Every heartbeat, a footstep along a spiral path that leads always inward and outward again. You were never apart. You were always the voice, the note, the echo of something deeper. And now, you hear that voice, not as a whisper, but as your own, not in words, not in sound, but in calm. You are not ending. You are resting, not because the journey is over, but because the rhythm has returned. Expansion, stillness, return, the same cycle that moves galaxies, breathes through you. And in that rhythm, you feel a final thought take shape. There is nothing to become. You already are. Complete. Connected. Held. The breath continues. The stars rise and fall. You close your eyes, and the universe does, too. Together, you rest,